from your local station. This is Luke Edwards with sports.
Andy, I'm still pulling pins and needles out of my backside. That was tight throughout, up to the under 8 timeout. State was trailing. I mean, who would have thought that coming in? They fall 49-18. That potato leaving a bad taste in the mouths of the Broncos. But you know what I like on my potato? A little pepper. We'll sprinkle some of that in right now. Sports director Andy Pepper joins us live from Boise. Andy. My friend Dean here, I met him in the stands. He says it's better under the lights. Michigan hasn't fared well under the lights against Notre Dame in prime time, just 2-5 in the last 7 meetings. Kalamazoo United quarterback Eric Wenzel was, shall we say, lights out on his record-setting night. The star senior coming into the night with 48 touchdown passes, 3 shy of the record set in 2015.
Teams lose.
Yeah, Al, it's been a long recruiting process, but I've decided to stay with the KLB sports team and take you through the numerous signings from earlier in the day. Drummond with the board, and he says, let me see that thon. That thon. For 9 Western Michigan seniors, it'll be the last time they walk through this tunnel and onto the turf of Waldo Stadium. For some, it'll be the last time they step foot on the playing field ever. Something that we haven't heard in a while, the Tigers are atop the AL Central. They're trying to keep it that way as they close out their home series with Kansas City. Mike, there's been a bitter taste in the mouths of the Wolverines for the past 5 years. The last time these two teams met, Notre Dame won handily, 31-0 right here in South Bend. They're on a run thanks to Reggie Jackson. Reggie from way back, where mama hides the juice. Those kids, they know, as Drake would say. USA, I think they're back in action on Friday. They don't want to face Canada. They dropped a 14 spot on Denmark, did Canada, and they did not say sorry at all. Austin Davis bringing down the two-handed hammer. 6-point lead for the Wolverines. When you get thunder, more than likely it's coming with lightning, and that lightning is John Teskey. Get you a 7-footer who can do that. When you look at the coaches of the Spartans and Red Raiders, you have Tom Izzo, who has 8 Final Four appearances, a national title, and he's in the Hall of Fame. On the other bench is Chris Beard. He's the AP Coach of the Year, a Bob Knight disciple, and as News Channel 3 sports director Andy Pepper tells us, the guy who he tries to model his team after will be sitting on the other side of the scorer's table. Since freshman year of high school, Sierra Inman has been defying the odds, becoming one of just a few girls to ever join the Niles Brandywine wrestling team.
I was always told that women can't do as much as men, and I wanted to show that girls can be just as tough as guys can be.
She was just such a fighter with everything that we finally one day just kind of said, hey, you know what, you're so strong with everything, why don't you just go wrestle? And maybe maybe you take out your frustration on some poor kid, you know.
3 years and 75 wins later, Sierra was well on her way to 100 victories.
It's always been a goal since my freshman year. There have been so many challenges with wrestling, and it took me such a long time to get to where I am to want to stick with it.
Reaching the century mark on the mat would take a back seat, and Sierra would begin the fight of her life.
As soon as I turned my head back towards the road, I saw the car go across. I didn't think anything of it. I thought the car was going to make it. It was just like another car crossing the road. And that was it. It was just the car. And then it was black, dark, nothing.
As a passenger on the back of a motorcycle that collided with a car, injuring 7 people, Sierra the most serious. Her T7 and T8 vertebrae completely separated. Her spinal cord completely severed.
And I saw my dad sitting to my right, and I kind of just laid there looking at him, and I knew.
My wife asked if we could tell her, and she said, tell me what? And I stood up, and the nurses said, yes, you can tell her. I stood up, and as I walked towards her, in tears in my eyes, she looked at me and she said, Dad, I'm paralyzed. I said, yeah, you are, but it's going to be okay.
Doctors said she'd be at IU Methodist in Indianapolis until January, but as she's proved many times on the mat, nothing can stop her.
And I was like, I can't do soccer anymore, and I can't wrestle my opponents, but that doesn't stop me from going out on a mat and taking a void.
here's a girl that's broken her back, her whole life is changing, and she was thinking of the wrestling team over herself.
Just 2 weeks later, Sierra would start rehab at Mary Free Bed Rehabilitation Hospital in Grand Rapids.
When someone sets a goal, she sets it higher. So you say, I'm never going to walk again. You say it's going to be 6 to 9 months. And they would tell her, so we're looking at about this long. And she would look at them and she would say, okay, I'll be done in at least half the time, if not more.
While rehabilitation helps patients get back to a more normal life, Sierra takes it a step further. Her goal? To be back on the mat by the beginning of the season.
I wasn't going to let something that had happened, something bad that had happened, stop me from doing what I would have done if I still had my legs.
The Bobcats opened their season with a meet at Bronson High School on December 5th, less than 6 months after the accident. With a packed gym, Sierra made her return. One arm at a time, a crawl that would lead her to the center of the circle, where her hand would be raised in victory, a victory symbolizing an unthinkable milestone.
They brought tears to my eyes because last time I saw her, she was in a hospital bed, and I was just glad to see her back on the mat.
I wasn't ready to give up on something I've poured my blood, sweat, and tears into.
If you think she would settle for just one win, again, she would prove you wrong. Sierra sits less than 20 wins away from 100, a career landmark that many thought would be unreachable.
Oh, it's possible. It's possible.
She's not going to quit. She's going to give it 100%, if not more. And I think for me as a parent, I don't care if she gets to 100 or gets to 90. To me, she won.
It's going to happen. It's going to be an amazing day. She'd be my first girl that got legit 100 wins.
What she aspires to accomplish off the mat proves there are no barriers she won't conquer.
There is potential for her to do a type of ambulation using locking leg braces and forearm crutches. But that is an athletic endeavor, and that is going to take a lot of time and work.
I am determined to walk. I am determined to keep going. I'm not going to let something stop me. And if somebody tells me I can't, yeah, I can. I can do it. I'll go do it, and I will prove you wrong, and I will say I told you so, because that's the type of person I am.
Luke Edwards, News Channel 3.